In this unit, we're going to look at the authenticity, the dating, and the archaeology of the Khirbet Qumran site and the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. As we explore this authentication process, we'll look at the role of several different scholars that began looking at the scrolls when they were initially brought from Kando, from Bethlehem, to Jerusalem, again remembering over on the eastern side, the Palestinian side of Jerusalem. Scholars such as John Trevor, who was the acting director of what is today known as the Albright Institute in Jerusalem. It is the Jerusalem School of the American Schools of Oriental Research, of which New Orleans Seminary is a member. It's an archaeological society of scholars from around the world who deal in ancient Near Eastern literature and archaeology. We'll look at the confirmation of John Trevor and Eliezer Sukenik in their examination of the scrolls in those initial months and years following their discovery in the winter of 1946-47. We'll look at the paleography, that is the study of the formation of the script. In analysis of the material, we know that the scrolls were composed, written, and copied in 3 different periods. There were scrolls, for example, that date to somewhere around 250 BC that were brought to the site, perhaps even a century after their original copying, such as the book of Exodus. We have one scroll fragment that you can barely read the letters, and often by holding it up to a light and seeing, because of where the imprint was done by the stylus in making the copy, that actually light filters through the holes of that area, and so the reading very, very difficult. But study of paleography was the way the letters were formed during different periods of Jewish history. So there are some scrolls that were brought to the site, perhaps composed originally in 250 BC approximately, others that were composed after the site was founded in approximately 150, 160 BC. Many think in the context of the leadership of Jonathan, son of Mattathias, who was one of the Jewish kings and who also became high priest during that era of the mid-2nd century BC. So Eliezer Sukenik, who again purchased 3 of the initial scrolls, analyzed the material, and so various scholars confirmed that these were indeed dated to ancient times. Mentioned earlier that Roland DeVoe was the excavator of the site. He was also involved in the community of scholars that began to analyze, collate, and organize the material for eventual publication. It was DeVoe who, of course, was a Catholic monastic individual who proposed that the Qumran sectarian site was a monastic community, like later Christian monasteries, a view that was challenged by a variety of interpreters in subsequent history. More recently, publications by Jody Magnus of University of North Carolina and Israeli scholar Yitzhak Hirschfeld have suggested alternative viewpoints in looking at the archaeology of the site. Roland DeVoe did publish an initial volume called The Archaeology of the Dead Sea Scrolls, which was kind of a preliminary report, but never formally completed what we call today a final report of the excavations of Khirbet Qumran. So our goal in this session will be to take a balanced view of the material and the interrelationship between the content of the scrolls and the archaeology of the site. Scholars such as Jody Magnus, who recently, actually even this very morning, May 18th, presented her view of the Essene hypothesis of the identity of the Qumran sectarian in a webinar that is going on even currently this morning on May 18th. So I was watching that just before coming to do our recordings this morning.